And good morning, church.
Good morning.
I want to turn to a passage of scripture in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and share you some people that were not too much for Thanksgiving. As we're getting to Thanksgiving season, we had to get something directing our thoughts toward Thanksgiving, and here's a bunch of people that were not too thankful. And so don't be like them, be like you, and we'll be fine. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 says in verse 1, "For I do not want you to be ignorant of the fact, brothers, that our forefathers were all under the cloud, and that they all passed through the sea. They were all baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. They all ate of the same spiritual food and drank the same spiritual drink, and they drank the same from the spiritual rock that accompanied them. And that rock was Christ. Nevertheless, God was not pleased with them, with most of them, as their bodies were scattered over the desert." Now these things occurred as an example to keep us from setting our hearts on evil things as they did. Do not be idolaters, as some of them were. As it was written, the people sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in pagan revelry. We should not commit sexual immorality, as some of them did, and in one day 23,000 of them died. We should not test the Lord, as some of them did, and were killed by snakes. And do not grumble, as some of them did, and were killed by the destroying angel. These things happened to them as examples, and were written down as warnings for us, on whom the fulfillment of the ages has come. So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. No temptation is taken or seized you except what is common to man, and God is faithful, who will not let you be tempted beyond what you are able or can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way of escape or way out, so that you can stand up under it. I know the scriptures go ahead and say they tempted God 10 times, they murmured. And then we have some brighter spot here. We're going to move along about several millennia later. And we have the man by the name of Roosevelt during the spirit that talks about the remarkable spirit of 1944. And he decided in his Thanksgiving declaration, he says, in this year of liberation, which has set so many militants or millions free from tyrannical rule, it's fitting that we give thanks and special favor to our Heavenly Father for the mercies we have received individually and as a nation, and for the blessings He has restored through the victories of our arms and those of our allies in His children in other lands. For the harvest that has sustained and is in its fullness brought succor to other peoples, for the beauty of our soil, which has produced the sinews of war for the protection of our liberties, and for the multitude of private blessings known only in our hearts, we should give united thanks to God, to the end that we may bear more earnest witness to our gratitude to Almighty God. I suggest a nationwide reading of God's Holy Scripture. Imagine the President coming up saying that we want the nation to read Scripture this Thanksgiving. During the period from Thanksgiving Day to Christmas, let every man of every creed go to his own version of Scriptures for renewed and strengthening contact with those eternal truths and majestic principles which have inspired such measure of true greatness as this nation has achieved. Now therefore I, Franklin D. Roosevelt, President of the United States of America, in consonance with the joint resolution of Congress approved December 26, 1941, do hereby proclaim Thursday, the 23rd day of November 1944, day of national Thanksgiving, and I call upon the people of the United States to observe that by bending every effort to hasten the day of final victory, and by offering to God our devoted gratitude for His goodness to us and to our fellow men. Now, Franklin got some bad vibes and bad press. He changed the day of Thanksgiving a few times. He changed it and he changed it back. You want to have people have more time to go shopping? And you know, you like to get Thanksgiving behind you before you put up your Christmas lights, and that's kind of what we do. We do Thanksgiving first, then we put up our Christmas lights. Then we think about doing Christmas shopping, but already there's Christmas trees in the stores, and they're already pushing Christmas, and shop early and spend all you can for that particular holiday. But we want to direct ourselves as far as Thanksgiving. The Bible says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you, in 1 Thessalonians 5:18. And Black Friday, of course, this is the day in America. Only in America on Black Friday people trample each other for sales exactly one day after being thankful for what they already have. You like that, Glenn? Yeah, that's a Glenn. That's an old Glenn.
That's true.
There are things we need to be thankful for, and some of the things I'm thankful for and want to be thankful for is for my friends. It's been said in life that if you only have 2 or 3 really close friends, you know, you're blessed. And yet in my lifetime, I know of probably of a dozen people that I've known to be really, really close friends and closer than brother. Glenn Koppel's one, Dan Parker's another. We've been in ministry together and been in mission work together. And missions is another chapter of what we're thankful for. We were down to Jamaica, and this was a preacher's retreat. And Tony Poncetti and another gentleman came in and did a workshop for 21 of our preachers and wives, and saved some marriages. You don't know that preachers are under stress that some people are not under, and that preachers and their wives go through divorce, which is unfortunate, but happens. Preachers are not immune to the frailties of mankind. They put on their pants one leg at a time, and this was over by Montego Bay, our time of fellowship and time of just good times together. Here's my good friend Ronnie Craig. Ronnie Craig's my dean of students. Interesting thing about Ronnie, he had an old preacher come up to him, and this is for Andronicus' benefit. This old preacher comes and says, Andrew, Ronnie, can you cover the pulpit for the next 2 weeks? I'm going to be out of the country. Yeah, I suppose I can. Andrew, he never came back. 19 years he never came back. I guess he figured Ronnie was prepared, and he says, can you cover for 2 weeks? The next thing, he was gone and never returned. So Ronnie's been with us through thick and thin, and we have appreciated Ronnie. And the thing is, my frustration is we got a bunch of guys from Jim Book's church to load up all these chairs for Jamaica. And in this shipment was 1,000 chairs, 100 desks, and 2 pallets of ceiling fans, and bags of blue jeans and sneakers. And it was bad enough getting the team together to get them loaded. But guess what me and Ronnie got to do when we got to Jamaica? Yeah, it was him and I that finished out the unloading. This was the last of the shipment, and it says, I thought I got away from these things.
I know.
This is my other good friend, Winston Scott, and we're writing a book together called Bells, Bibles, and Baptistries, and found out later that C. Vincent Hall not only asked churches to donate those things, he also said donate organs to the churches. And Winston says we really need to name the book for today. It's cell phones and computers and something else. What was it? But he says we need to rename the thing vans, cell phones, and computers. That's the need in the mission field. 100 years ago, Bob, it was saddles and horses for the riding crew. No, $50 for a saddle, $75 for a horse. And for $125, that was a lot of money in the year 1900. A lot of money in the year 1900. When people worked for 10 cents an hour or $1 a day, you know, that was a lot of labor, a lot of money. But this is one of the abandoned baptistries over by Luke Elliott's house. Luke Elliott was one of the preachers, came in from Los Angeles, California, and cranked up the Bible college, in which I'm still serving. And this young lady was Taryn. This was Jeff and Johnny's daughter, and this was her first mission trip. But we were in the process, and while Sandy was driving us up 1,000 miles to Columbus, Ohio, me and Winston were writing a book in the back of the van called Bells, Bibles, and Baptistries, A History of the Christian Churches and Churches of Christ in Jamaica. And the thing's starting to gel. We've got about 120 pages down and 280 to go. We've interviewed 15 churches down and 47 more churches to go. And that's just on the current. I told Winston, I'll do the first 50 years of history, you do the last 100, or no, I'll do the first 100, you do the last 50. Thinking I'm going to get out late. I'm not getting out so late. This is a fellowship too at the Archaeology Club that me and George Kimball always supported. And I'm looking over this particular group, and
the middle button, yep.
This gentleman was in Auschwitz German camp. He was in the German concentration camp. He was, I think, Czechoslovakian and Jewish, and he's one to live to tell about it. He passed away here a couple of years ago. This is Anne. Anne was a professor of arts, French teacher, and she was the one that was the president of the Archaeology Club. She passed away a few years ago too. And we look over the group of our old friends. George, he's over there in Haines City, over in the memory unit, the Alzheimer's unit. And but this is some of the other group. This old guy is still kicking. But these are some of the friends we have in what we call academia. We were meeting over at the college, and the college wasn't promoting us too well. We had, when I gave my last lecture, it was we had about 8 or 10 or 12 of us in that group. We moved over to the Winter Haven Public Library, and we had over 30, 35 people. So I think we're going to be going to the library from here on with the Archaeology Club. This is a friend. I told Sandy, I says, the big thing, this is what I'm thankful for. We're thankful that this building finally, as July 2nd, got its occupancy. And soon thereafter, we're able to hang a sign that says we don't have to put it up and take it down, or otherwise we're in violation of law. We have to pay $125 per day for the last 11 months. You do the, I don't know, but we're finally able to hang up a signboard and a sign. And I told Sandy, I says, after we get that building done, we're going to go do something. You know, we're going to go to Tarpon Springs, we're going to go to Sarasota, we're going to go to bed and breakfast, we're going to go do something, Glenn and Sylvia. We're going to do something. We just want to get away and do something. And so we had a double date. And this time it was not with Glenn and Sylvia. We've had double dates with Glenn and Sylvia in Jerusalem. And we had a double date that the church treated us out to dinner one time for Preacher's Appreciation. We do not have that many double dates, but we've had a few. But this is Rusty and Donna Draper, elder at the Zephyr Christian Church. He has adopted this church. I mean, he has been a supporter and encourager. We fellowship with the Zephyr Men's Fellowship Breakfast. So with Zephyr and Date City and Northside, we are the 3 churches that get together for breakfast one Saturday a month. And we're using that to build our men's fellowship. And it's great to have 25 and 35 men meeting, and sometimes 40. And this was part of just good old Christian fellowship. And we're thankful for friends. And we were on this boat, and we went out into up the canal and did a little watching some sponge diving and learned everything we needed to know about sponges. And I thought, you know, we were going to go spend a week there in Tarpon Springs, but I discovered this place. There's not a whole lot to do in Tarpon Springs except eat Greek. And they call it Greek Town because this is all there is. And the Catholics, they throw out a crucifix and the boys die for it. And whoever, the boy that brings back the crucifix is blessed for the year. And so those boys will jump in, whether even like it was a couple days ago chilly, they'll dive and get that crucifix. But we were thankful as a couple that we're able to spend, and we didn't intend. Rusty and his wife treated us out to lunch, and we didn't want them to treat us out to lunch. But then I had to treat them out on the spot. I said, you ever done the sponge boats? No, we never had the money. Come on. So we came out about even. We treated the sponge boat, and they treated the dinner. And This was neat. That suit, somebody says, did you go diving? That suit weighs 172 pounds.
Wow.
And it depends on the weight of the guy. The more weighted, my suit would have been probably 200 pounds because you got to offset your body weight. And the kid that was diving was 158 pounds, so he had to have a few more pounds to be able to do some sponge diving. Aren't they cute?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, 47 years. Somebody says, you know, I've put up with this woman. No, she's put up with me. And 47 years, and she's been a good woman. She's been a real good woman. Sandy, I love you. Things we're thankful for. I think that's a cute picture. That was my choice. She didn't pick. She picked my tie. She picked my shirt to match my trousers, so I don't mix black with purple and all that other stuff. But anyway. Number two, what I'm thankful for is missionaries. This was the time the two Washingtons met. Washington, D.C., which was a predominantly African-American group going mission field, and the youth leader was a Jamaican youth minister that led this group. And the other group was from the Washington State. This was Mike Kennedy's group. We had the two Washingtons working together, a white congregation of the Church of Christ, a black congregation of the Christian Church, working together in Jamaica for the mission field. And it was one of the great times in the mission field. Dan and Liz, Liz is the nurse practitioner doctor, and Dan is the nurse. The guy's the nurse and the lady's the doctor. And they've been down to Jamaica with us about 4 times as part of our team. And she was tending to anywhere from 70 patients plus per day in the villages. And let them sacrifice the sacrifices of what, Bob? Thanksgiving. And declare his works with rejoicing, Psalm 107:22. This was the crew there in front of the Mineral Heights church, and this was another of our mission teams. Last year we had 34. We have had as high as 80 people, not at one time, but 80 people in one season, one mission season, doing work down in Jamaica. This next year looks like between 80 and 100. If everybody comes up with the money that says we're going, we want to go, we want to go. But you don't count till you get the money in your hand, Marvin, and you get the tickets paid for. Once you get the ticket paid for, then you know they're kind of going. But if you don't have the ticket money in your hand, you can't start head counting. Let them give thanks to the Lord for his unfailing love and his wonderful deeds for mankind. Psalm 107, verse 8. This was Columbus, Ohio. This was a young lady that Sandy's talking to about joining our nurse and doctor teams, medical team. And she's from which one of the Bible colleges? Because Sandy, you remember? Or don't remember. Johnson. She may have been at Johnson. This is Dan and Jonah Smith. He serves as my vice president. This is the Weiss family. They're like Dan Parker. They want their coffee fix. They got to have that Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee. And they run a mission outreach of libraries around the world. And this was our booth. We shared the booth with Dan. So this is Sandy in her purple and there.
Black and purple.
And she was told, how redneck? You know, how redneck can you get? And says, lighten up. I'm not being redneck. She's got her CDL driver's license. She could be driving semi-truck. She has driven bus. She has even driven our granite truck before. And so I guess if we get her in a pickup once in a while, she ain't hurting anything. She's got the CDL license for the bigger rig. She can drive these lesser rigs. This was over 10,000 people. There were 7,000 adults and 7,000 and 3,000 kids and 7,000 adults there at the Columbus, Ohio. It was bitter cold. We had thermal long johns I was wearing. It was 1 inch of snow Sunday morning when we left to go out of Dodge because there was a blizzard coming in. There was a whiteout when Dan and Joan were coming in. They were about 3 hours late. They didn't get in until about 10 o'clock that night instead of set up earlier. And so we didn't get with them until the next morning for breakfast. And Dan and Joan had joined us at a motel 2 miles down the road. And I was talking to some missionary. He says, oh, we got a bargain. We got the presidential suite, and we're paying $150 a night. Aren't we so wise with God's money? I said, we're paying $60 a night down the road 2 miles from Convention Center. And I didn't say any more. You know, but this is the difference in missions and frugality. Some of us try to save money and make every dollar of the Lord's money money count. And some say, well, we deserve a treat. We're going to go stay in the presidential suite. Now, my wife has stayed in the honeymoon suite in Miami by giving up her ticket. And she calls me up, honey, I'm in the honeymoon suite. I'm so alone in Miami. But they gave her $500, for giving up her ticket, which bought her 2 more tickets to go to the mission field. And she's flying out Thursday. We tried to get her out Friday like normal. We couldn't get a good rate. So we flew her out Thursday. And she said, well, I had a day to kill anyway. I might as well kill it in the honeymoon suite. Meals on American Airline, Bob. And so she got her meals, her lunch, her breakfast, and her supper, and a ticket and money to buy 2 more tickets. So this is your mission dollars at work when this little lady's involved. I mean, she is frugal. She is frugal. This is some of the kids we had Vacation Bible School. Somebody says, does Cassandra run the college down there? Says, no, I'm president of the college. Now, when we're running Vacation Bible School, I'm her teacher. When we're running medical clinics, I'm her chaplain to the doctors and the nurses and the patients. When we're running Bible college, she's my English teacher. We take turns and says, this week you're in charge, next week I'm in charge. Does that always work? I don't know, I'm not going there, Margaret, I'm not going there. This is our young Taryn working with the Jamaica kids in Vacation Bible School, and she did a super job working with the kids. We're thankful for these young people that we're able to develop as missionaries. And later on, we're looking at her mom and dad. Her dad's gone back to school to become a licensed nurse practitioner, which is the level of a doctor. Jeff is on our Jamaica board. He's a number of years younger than we are. He and his wife want to come to Jamaica on a more permanent basis, and he will be the one coordinating our medical, and is coordinating our medical teams. And this is neat. This is a whole new dimension, and he's part of our family, and he'd like to pass off the baton to capable people. This is our group in London. This is Mike Bent. He said, I'm going to Jamaica. He says, I'm going to London for 6 months. I'll be back soon, Brother Richard. What's that, been 13 years? At least.
10 years.
This man, Neville Pink, he came to my house in Pennsylvania. He taught the gospel to Vincent Graham, who in turn became a world evangelist and baptized over 7,000 souls into Christ. Did revivals all over the world, Caribbean, Africa, India. Neville passed away, but he told me when he came to our house in Pennsylvania, you come to England, I'm going to teach you how to play cricket. I come to England finally, and he says, and how I come to England, I put my business card in a goldfish bowl at Mission Convention, and I got a phone call and says, you want a ticket to Germany? Says, can I trade it for a ticket to England? No problem. So I got a free to go to England. Of course, I bring my wife, right, Sylvia? You don't go to Palestine without your wife, do you?
No.
And then this gentleman was one of our earlier graduates from Jamaica Bible Seminary I met. And this gentleman went to Midwestern School in Ottumwa, Iowa, and he was one of the men that Bob Blanchard trained with Patrick Parchment and Roger Scott. He was among 3 or 4 men that Bob trained and worked with before the Bible College was reopened. And of these guys, he's passed, and I think the rest of them are still around. But we're thankful for these men of God. And here we're in London, England, not knowing we're going to have a Jamaica Bible Seminary College reunion. We're thankful for the church, God's body of believers. This is the church in the afternoon called Grace Christian Fellowship. We'll have 8 to 20 people. Sometimes when we have a concert, we'll have 30 and 40 people. But this has moved over. We're thankful for the new activity room where we don't have clanks of pots and pans in the background when you're trying to do communion. Remember that, Julie?
Yeah.
The clanks of pots and pans. Or some patient that thinks it's supper time and she comes over on her walker right between you and the PowerPoint. Is it time to eat? No, hon, just go sit down and come join us. Oh, it's not time to eat, I better mosey on. The Bible tells us as a church that we're not to forsake the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another. Right. And so much the more as you see the day approaching, we know if this was the day of the destruction of Jerusalem or the judgment day of the second coming of Christ. The New International Version says, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another. And all the more as you see the day drawing near. And the purpose of the church assembly is to encourage one another. And when people are discouraged and feeling down, I said, it's time to be in church and get a faith lift. This is the fellowship of believers as we sometimes go to a concert. Remember this one, Faye? We were over there to hear that I don't know if that was Ernie Hawes and the signature sound or who it was, but we were over to Victory going to one of the concerts over there. This is Ladies Fellowship, and this is the gang. This is the church. With praise and thanksgiving they sang to the Lord. He is good. His love of Israel to Israel endures forever. And all the people gave a great shout of praise to the Lord. Let us come into his presence with thanksgiving. Let us make a joyful noise to him with songs of praise. Psalm 95, verse 2. We're also thankful for our vets. You know, he gave some, and some gave all, and some still are giving. Thank a vet, and that's the Purple Heart. It's been said it's the veteran, not the preacher, who's given us freedom of religion. It's the veteran, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the veteran, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the veteran, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to assemble. It's the veteran, not the lawyer, who's given us the right to a fair trial. It's the veteran, not the politician, who's given us the right to vote. It's the veteran who salutes the flag. It's the veteran who serves under the flag. So eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him. We want to thank the veterans, and it's not even Veterans Day, Marvin. But thank you guys.
Thank him every day.
And finally, we want to be thankful for Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. The Bible says, but thanks be to God, he gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 15:57. Let us come before him with thanksgiving. Brother Glenn, it's Thanksgiving. Let's be thankful.